Captain Maya Ellis led her reconnaissance team through the dense jungle, every step measured and deliberate beneath the canopy that filtered the weak sunlight into mottled shadows. The air was thick with humidity and the distant calls of unseen creatures, but Maya's focus remained sharp. Their mission was clear: gather intelligence on the insurgent faction that had disrupted a critical supply line feeding the regional government forces. The territory was hostile, unforgiving, and every moment carried the weight of hidden danger. Maya's team moved like shadows, trained for silent infiltration and quick extraction. Her years of elite training flashed through her mind, months of survival drills, tactical negotiation exercises, and combat simulations that had prepared her for a mission like this. Yet, the jungle had a way of testing even the best, and the constant threat of discovery pressed on them as they advanced. They had just set up a temporary observation post near a winding river when a sudden rustle betrayed their position. Before anyone could react, a hail of gunfire erupted from concealed enemy positions. The sound was deafening, and chaos ensued. Maya's instincts kicked in immediately. She dove for cover, barking orders as her team scrambled to respond. Despite their efforts, the insurgents outnumbered and outmaneuvered them, and within moments, the team was overwhelmed. Maya was dragged from the underbrush, her hands bound tightly behind her back. The world tilted as she was forced to her knees, surrounded by hostile faces obscured by scarves and war paint. Even in captivity, her mind raced, assessing, calculating, looking for any opening. She knew that survival depended on patience and observation as much as on strength. The insurgent camp was a crude collection of tents and makeshift barriers, nestled deep within the jungle's heart. Maya's sharp eyes took in every detail: the guard rotations, the supply routes, the way the prisoners were moved and restrained. Her military background served her well, allowing her to silently map out the camp's layout and routines. Every small detail could be the key to escape. During her captivity, Maya found a grim solace in watching her captors. They were disciplined yet ruthless, their loyalty to the insurgent cause unwavering. But beneath their hardened exteriors, she glimpsed moments of fatigue and hesitation, cracks she could exploit. She noted the times guards changed shifts and the patterns in their patrols, committed every observation to memory with a soldier's precision. One night, as the camp slept under the dim glow of a fading fire, Maya made a startling discovery. While being moved between guarded tents, she overheard hushed voices speaking of a prisoner thought to be dead, someone from her own team. The men had been separated during the ambush, left behind in the jungle, presumed lost. Instead, he was alive, held in a nearby enclosure. This revelation ignited a fierce determination within her. The thought of her teammate alive and within reach transformed her captivity from a sentence to a challenge. It introduced a deeply personal element to the mission. Rescue was no longer just about her survival but about reuniting and rebuilding their fractured team. Maya's mind raced with possibilities. She recalled her training in hostage negotiation and survival tactics, skills that now had to be put to the ultimate test. Every interaction with the insurgents became a calculated risk, every word and gesture a potential tool for gathering more intelligence or sowing seeds of doubt among her captors. Despite the dire circumstances, Maya remained composed, her resolve unbroken. She monitored the camp's activity with relentless focus, mentally preparing for the moment when opportunity would arise. Her leadership was not just a relic of rank, it was a living force that kept hope alive, even in the darkest hours. The jungle outside whispered threats and promises alike, but inside the camp, Maya's mind was a fortress. She identified the guards most likely to be swayed, noted the weak points in the perimeter, and calculated the timing for a potential breakout. Her survival depended on both patience and precision. As days passed, she pieced together the insurgents' broader plans. The disruption of supply lines was just the beginning. The faction was gearing up for a larger offensive that could destabilize the entire region. The intelligence Maya gathered in captivity was invaluable, but she knew it meant little unless she escaped to deliver it. Her thoughts often returned to the teammate she'd heard was still alive. The knowledge was both a beacon and a burden. It fueled her determination but also underscored the dangers ahead. The mission had evolved from reconnaissance to rescue, and every choice now carried the weight of comrades' lives. Maya's training in survival skills, the art of reading terrain, improvising weapons, and enduring harsh conditions, became her mental armor. She envisioned the escape route, the meeting points, and the signals they would use to communicate once reunited. Her mind was a battlefield of strategy and hope. Throughout captivity, Maya maintained a careful balance between vigilance and subtlety. She engaged with her captors within the narrow limits allowed, probing for weaknesses without revealing her intent. Her demeanor was calm but alert, a mask that concealed the storm of planning beneath. She found strength in small victories, overheard conversations, a guard's momentary lapse in attention, a slight shift in routine. Each piece of information was a thread she would later weave into a plan to reclaim freedom. The complexity of the situation demanded more than brute force, it required patience, cunning, and unyielding resolve. The night before what she hoped would be the turning point, Maya lay awake beneath the stars visible through the jungle canopy. Her thoughts drifted to the team members she had led, the friendships forged in the crucible of training and combat. The bond between soldiers was unbreakable, and she was determined to restore that unity. She recalled the harsh drills, the hours spent honing negotiation skills designed to defuse hostage situations without violence. Those lessons now served a new purpose, to buy time, to gather intelligence, and to keep hope alive in the face of overwhelming odds. As dawn approached, Maya's mind was a razor-sharp instrument, honed by experience and necessity. She knew the window for escape was narrow and that any misstep could mean death for herself and her comrades. Yet, she was ready to act when the moment came. The jungle around her was silent but charged with potential. The insurgents were unaware that their captive was no ordinary soldier. Captain Maya Ellis was already planning her next move, fueled by the knowledge that one of her own was still alive and waiting. With every breath, Maya steeled herself for the challenge ahead. The mission had shifted from observation to survival, from isolation to reunion. In the heart of enemy territory, surrounded by danger and deception, she prepared to turn captivity into opportunity, to transform despair into defiance. Her story was far from over. The jungle held its secrets, but Maya was ready to uncover them all. The fight for freedom was just beginning. The dim light of dawn filtered through the thick jungle canopy as Captain Maya Ellis lay motionless, her senses acutely attuned to every sound around the camp. The knowledge that one of her team members was alive, held nearby, burned like a beacon in her mind, fueling a determination that had only grown stronger since her capture. She knew that time was running out, and every second wasted was a risk to their survival. As the camp stirred to life, Maya's thoughts drifted back to the countless hours of rigorous training that had shaped her into the soldier she was. Flashbacks of intense drills, grueling obstacle courses, survival exercises in hostile environments, and negotiations that teetered on the edge of violence, flickered through her mind. Each memory reminded her that resilience wasn't just physical endurance but a mental edge, a refusal to surrender even when the odds seemed insurmountable. Her captors remained unaware of the storm gathering beneath her calm exterior. She had observed their routines meticulously, noting the patterns in guard rotations and the subtle vulnerabilities in their security. Maya's eyes scanned the camp from her confined vantage point, cataloging every detail that would be crucial when the moment to act finally arrived. The opportunity came sooner than expected. During a shift change, a lapse in the guard's attention created a narrow window. Maya seized it without hesitation. With swift precision, honed by years of combat training, she subdued the nearest guard using a move practiced countless times but never before executed with such urgency. The guard's muffled gasp was swallowed by the jungle's ambient noise. Her heart pounded as she moved quickly to free herself and then the other prisoners. The man she had heard was alive. Sergeant Lucas Harper was weak but conscious, a flicker of recognition and hope crossing his face when Maya revealed herself. Their reunion was brief but electric. There was no time for words, only action. Maya rallied the scattered prisoners, transforming them from captives into a cohesive unit determined to escape. Her leadership was immediate and decisive, directing them to move silently through the camp, avoiding patrols and using the knowledge she had painstakingly gathered during captivity. The once disparate group found strength in their shared purpose, their resolve hardening as they navigated the treacherous terrain. The jungle closed around them like a living wall, the thick underbrush and gnarled roots both obstacle and shield. Maya's familiarity with guerrilla tactics became their guide, moving stealthily, using natural cover, and exploiting the enemy's blind spots. She recalled every lesson from her training: how to read the terrain, how to anticipate enemy movements, and how to conserve energy for sudden bursts of speed. As they pressed deeper into enemy territory, the group uncovered evidence of a larger insurgent operation. Hidden caches of weapons, hastily constructed fortifications, and intercepted communications hinted at a coordinated offensive designed to destabilize the region on a scale far greater than initially understood. The weight of this discovery added urgency to their flight, but it also offered leverage, a chance to strike back if they could survive long enough. The journey was fraught with danger. Every rustle in the foliage could signal an ambush, every shadow a lurking enemy. Maya's instincts were razor-sharp. She directed the group away from potential threats and toward safer paths, her voice low but commanding. The bond among the escapees grew, forged in the crucible of shared peril and the unspoken promise of survival. Yet, just as hope flickered on the horizon, a devastating blow shattered their fragile unity. In the midst of a tense crossing through a narrow ravine, gunfire erupted from concealed enemy positions. The group was ambushed, pinned down by a hail of bullets that echoed through the trees. Maya's heart sank as she realized the attack was not random, it bore the mark of insider knowledge. The grim truth became clear: a traitor lurked within their ranks. The betrayal cut deeper than any wound inflicted by enemy fire. Trust, once the foundation of their survival, now teetered on the brink of collapse. Suspicion rippled through the group, uncertainty poisoning the air and threatening to unravel the escape plan. Maya's mind raced to identify the betrayer. She scanned faces, analyzed behavior, and recalled every interaction since their breakout. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily upon her shoulders. The lives of her team depended on swift judgment and unshakable resolve. Every decision carried consequences that could mean life or death. Despite the chaos, Maya refused to succumb to despair. Drawing on her leadership and negotiation skills, she worked to steady the group, to rebuild trust and refocus their efforts on survival. The jungle around them was unforgiving, but so was her will. She urged them to move quickly, to adapt and overcome the new threat within. The betrayal forced a change in tactics. Maya altered their route, avoiding predictable paths and doubling back to throw off their pursuers. The team moved with renewed caution, every step shadowed by the knowledge that danger came not only from outside but from within. The psychological toll was heavy, but Maya's presence remained a steady anchor. Amidst the tension, Maya's thoughts often returned to her training. She remembered instructors emphasizing the importance of reading people as much as terrain, detecting deception beneath calm exteriors. She applied these lessons rigorously, watching for subtle cues, hesitations, shifts in gaze, inconsistencies in stories that might reveal the traitor's identity. The group's survival depended on unity, but the betrayal threatened to fracture their fragile alliance. Maya knew that exposing the traitor was essential not just for their safety but for maintaining morale. She planned careful confrontations, seeking to isolate suspicious behaviors without risking open conflict that could leave them vulnerable. As they navigated the perilous jungle, Maya also focused on the broader mission. The intelligence they had uncovered about the insurgent offensive was critical. She urged the team to document what they could: locations of enemy fortifications, troop movements, supply caches, information that could turn the tide when delivered to friendly forces. Despite the mounting pressures, Maya maintained a quiet strength that inspired those around her. She shared memories of their rigorous training, reminding them of their capabilities and the reasons they had been chosen for such missions. Her encouragement rekindled a spark of hope and resilience, transforming fear into determination. Through sleepless nights and exhausting days, Maya's leadership never wavered. She balanced the immediate need for survival with the strategic imperative to gather intelligence. Every decision was weighed carefully, every risk calculated. The jungle was a relentless adversary, but Maya's resolve was fiercer still. The presence of the traitor loomed over them like a shadow, but Maya refused to let it consume their mission. She fostered open communication within the group, encouraging vigilance without paranoia. Slowly, trust began to rebuild, and the team moved forward with cautious optimism. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the tangled undergrowth, Maya prepared her team for the next phase of their escape. The road ahead was uncertain, fraught with dangers known and unknown, but they had survived the initial onslaught and the sting of betrayal. Maya's mind was already turning to what lay beyond the jungle: the extraction point, the safe zone, the chance to deliver critical intelligence that could save countless lives. The mission had evolved from mere survival to a fight for the future of the region. Through every hardship, Maya's leadership had transformed a scattered group of captives into a unified force. The trials they faced had tested their limits, but also forged their strength. In the face of betrayal and relentless pursuit, they had endured. The jungle was unforgiving, the enemy relentless, and the path to freedom perilous. Yet, under Maya's steady hand, the team pressed on, each step a testament to human resilience and the unbreakable bonds forged in the crucible of adversity. As dusk settled over the dense jungle, Captain Maya Ellis gathered her team at the edge of a narrow clearing, the prearranged extraction point looming just beyond the thick undergrowth. The air was electric with tension, every rustle of leaves or distant bird call amplified in the stillness. They had fought tooth and nail to survive the ambush, the betrayal, and the relentless pursuit through hostile territory, but now the final stretch demanded every ounce of their strength and resolve. Maya's eyes swept over the group, scarred, exhausted, yet unbroken. Sergeant Lucas Harper moved with a newfound steadiness, his earlier weakness replaced by determination. The men and women she had rallied through captivity and escape now stood united, ready for the perilous evacuation that would decide their fate. The plan was simple yet fraught with risk: reach the clearing, signal the extraction team, and hold position until the helicopter arrived. Communication was limited, and enemy forces were known to patrol the area, but Maya's leadership had forged a cohesion that made the impossible feel within reach. As they approached the clearing, Maya took point, her senses razor-sharp. Every footstep was calculated to avoid detection, every breath measured. The jungle's oppressive silence was broken only by the soft whispers of leaves and the distant hum of insects. She signaled to her team to halt, scanning the perimeter for threats. Suddenly, movement flickered at the edge of the clearing, enemy troops emerging from the shadows, weapons raised. The extraction point had been compromised. Maya's heart pounded as she shouted the alert, rallying her team into defensive positions. The firefight erupted with brutal intensity, bullets tearing through foliage and earth. Despite being outnumbered, Maya's tactical acumen shone through. She directed her team with precision, coordinating suppressive fire and maneuvering to hold the perimeter. The jungle became a deadly chessboard, each move crucial to survival. The enemy pressed forward, but Maya's leadership kept her team focused and resolute. Amid the chaos, the faint thrum of helicopter blades reached Maya's ears, a beacon of hope amid the gunfire. The extraction team was close, but the window was narrowing. Maya signaled the rescue pilot with a flare, a bright streak cutting through the twilight sky. The helicopter swooped low, its rotors churning the thick air, stirring leaves and dust. Maya moved swiftly, ushering her team toward the landing zone while maintaining defensive fire. The enemy forces intensified their assault, desperate to prevent the extraction. One by one, Maya's team boarded the helicopter, the tension palpable as the enemy closed in. The last to climb aboard was Maya herself, who took a moment to cover her team's retreat, exchanging fire with advancing insurgents. Her fingers tightened on her weapon, every shot a barrier between life and death. As the helicopter lifted, Maya caught sight of the jungle below, dark, dense, and unforgiving. The battle was not yet over, but for now, they had escaped the immediate threat. Inside the aircraft, the team was silent, catching their breath, their bodies tense but alive. Upon landing at the forward operating base, Maya and her team were debriefed immediately. The intelligence they had gathered was staggering: detailed plans of the insurgent factions' coordinated offensive aimed at destabilizing the entire region. Supply routes, command centers, and troop movements were all laid bare, the result of Maya's relentless observation and survival. Military strategists pored over the data, recognizing its potential to shift the balance of power. Maya's team had not only survived but had delivered a critical blow to the insurgents' plans. The mission had evolved from reconnaissance to rescue, and now to a vital intelligence operation that could save countless lives. In the quiet moments that followed the debriefing, Maya allowed herself a brief reflection. The journey from captive to leader had tested every facet of her being. She thought of the team members who had fought beside her, the trust forged in adversity, and the sacrifices made along the way. Her thoughts turned to the future. The insurgency was far from defeated, and the intelligence hinted at deeper networks and more complex threats. Maya had been assigned a new mission: to dismantle the insurgent network at its core, to prevent further chaos and restore stability. A cryptic message arrived shortly after, an encrypted communication from an unknown source, hinting at a larger conspiracy underpinning the insurgency. The revelation was unsettling, suggesting that the conflict was but a fragment of a more extensive, shadowy agenda. Maya's resolve hardened. The path ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, but she was ready. The lessons of captivity, escape, and survival had transformed her into a relentless force against adversity. The bonds forged in the jungle had become her strength, and the mission her purpose. As she prepared for the next phase, Maya paid tribute to the mentors who had shaped her, those who had taught her the complexities of warfare and the moral weight of leadership. Their guidance echoed in her mind, a compass for the challenges to come. The battlefield had shifted from the jungle to a web of deception and power struggles. Maya knew the fight was far from over, but she embraced the challenge. With a steady hand and unwavering courage, she stepped forward into the unknown, ready to confront the shadows that threatened the fragile peace. The hunt for the insurgent masterminds had just begun, and Captain Maya Ellis was prepared to face whatever lay ahead.